In this video, I'm going to go through a full game written in picture notation and show you how to translate the pictures into moves. What am I talking about? Picture notation is the mnemonic method to convert between pictures and chess moves. And that's useful because if you know what you're doing with memory techniques, which pretty much anybody can learn, then it's really easy to memorize pictures. You can then memorize the pictures in a memory palace and convert that into your opening repertoire at the board. This is following the method I wrote about in my book, The Chess Memory Palace. I will put the link to that in the description, and you can read the first few chapters for free on my website. This video is not a full tutorial. I'm assuming you basically already know how picture notation works, and you want to see more examples of it in practice to make sure you've got it right. I do plan to record a full tutorial in future, so do subscribe so you see that when I upload. And there's also a tutorial on the excellent small channel called Benedictine on Chessable, which I will also link in the description. The game I'm going to cover today is on page 159 if you have the book, and that is Adolf Anderssen versus Ernst Flechsig, played in Leipzig in 1877, and it's 22 moves long. On my right, we've got the chessboard. In the middle, we have the game written in algebraic notation and picture notation, and in a moment I'll cover up the algebraic notation. And then on my left, we have the conversion table between consonant sounds and files and ranks of the chessboard. You have to memorize this table, but this is the only thing you have to rote memorize in the chess memory palace method. Everything else is creative memorization. So that's essentially visualization and imagination. Okay, let's get started. I am actually quite nervous to do this because I haven't been back through this game since I published the book. So I'm really hoping that I don't find any mistakes. The first move of the game, written in picture notation, is law. So the two consonant sounds are l and r. The first one always gives us the file, so that will be the E file. R, the second consonant sound, always gives us the rank, so that's the fourth rank. So we have the fifth file, the fourth rank, E4 is the target square. Black replies leech, so this is L and ch. Again, we have the fifth file, and now we have the sixth rank, so this must be the E6 square. Only the pawn can move there, so we have E6. Raw gives us and the two R sounds, so that's 4 and 4. So this is the D4 square. And black replies pearl. The p sound does not appear in the table, it's unallocated, so we ignore that. Our two consonant sounds are and ul, so this gives us the fourth file and the fifth rank. So black plays d5. Now it starts to get interesting. White plays mime, so this is the two sounds, which is 3 and 3. So the target square must be c3, but there's a question which piece moves there, because we have two options. We have the knight and the pawn on c2. I think if you know any chess, it will be obvious that the move is knight c3, but we don't want ambiguities. We want the picture notation to tell us exactly which move to make, and it does. So we choose the piece to move using the number of syllables in the picture word. Mime has one syllable, so we choose the first piece, which appears on the arrow I'm drawing here, so starting from the back, and break ties from the queen side. So one syllable, mime, must be the first candidate piece, knight c3. Black replies shisha, so the two sh sounds give us f6, And again, there's a choice of pieces which can move to f6. So this time we have three options: the queen, the knight, and the pawn. Shisha has two syllables, so it'll be the second piece which appears on the line starting from the back, break ties from the queen side. So 1, 2 must be knight f6. White replies lol, two ul sounds, 5 and 5, so that's e5. And now we have our first 5-syllable picture word, Brachiosaurus. Let's start off with the target square before we think about the candidate piece. B has no meaning. R is the fourth file. K, remember, you do this by pronunciation, so it's brach. So this is the 7th rank. Always file followed by rank. So fourth file, 7th rank is D7. Now a whole range of pieces can move to D7. We've got the knight on B8, bishop, queen, king, and the knight on F6. Brachiosaurus is Brachiosaurus. It's a 5-syllable picture word. So as always, we look along this line and see which is the 5th candidate piece. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's knights from the F file to D7. This is followed immediately by another 5-syllable picture word, planetarium. So p has no meaning. Ul is the 5th file. N is the 2nd rank. Ul and is 5 and 2, and they're in that order, so it's file and rank. So this is giving us 5th file, 2nd rank, E2, and it's the 5th candidate piece. Let's count them up again. It's the same as we saw before, really. So we've got queen, king, bishop, knight, and knight. On this line, the 5th candidate piece is the knight on c3. So we do the knight retreat. The reason I chose this game to put in the book was because of these two 5-syllable picture words. I wanted to demonstrate how that works. In practice, though, I wouldn't memorize this part of the game in a memory palace. It's too early. I would just do this by standard chess memory and then learn the later variations in a memory palace. Also in practice, I have never seen a 5-syllable picture word except for an early knight retreat. So this isn't something you're likely to need. Almost all the time, you only need 1, 2, and 3-syllable picture words, occasionally 4. And then for an early knight retreat, if you're learning this far early in a game, a 5-syllable word. If you do happen to come across a 5-syllable picture word in your games, or even higher, please let me know, because I've never seen it and I would be fascinated to see when that would actually happen in practice. Black replies symbol. So s has no meaning. M is number 3. B has no meaning. And ul is number 5. So we're looking at this square. It's a 2-syllable picture word. 3 pieces can move to the c5 square. And the second, in terms of priority, is the pawn on c5. So that's what black played. White replies mime. This might have a different meaning that it had before. Last time it was the knight to c3. Now it's the pawn to c3. Because mime is the c3 square. It's a 1-syllable picture word. And now the pawn is the first piece on the line. Pawn to c3. Black plays match. So that is m and ch. So we're looking at the 3rd file, the 6th rank. Only one piece can move there. Knight c6. White plays chariot. Ch and r are our first 2 consonant sounds. So that's 6 and 4. It's a 3-syllable picture word, and we have these 3 candidate pieces. So it is pawn to f4. Black plays sponge. Now s and p have no meaning. M is 2. J, as pronounced, is number 6. So we're looking at 2, 6, and it's a 1-syllable picture word. and we have these 3 candidate pieces, so this will be queen, because the queen is the furthest back. White plays jam. Jam is J is the 6th file. M is the 3rd rank. Only the knight can move there. Knight f3. Black plays blackboard. B has no meaning. L is number 5. K is number 7. It's a 1-syllable it's a 2-syllable picture word. So we'll be looking at the 2nd candidate piece, which is the bishop. White plays thumb. Is the 1st file. 3rd rank. Remember, th and It's a 1-syllable picture word, but it doesn't matter because only one piece can move there anyway, which is the pawn on a2 to a3. Black plays 5. Now, 5 is an interesting one because once you look at it, is number 8 and V is also number 8. So we're looking at the h8 square. And can anything move to h8? Well, no. So this indicates castling. So this will be kind of like king to h8. So that's how we consider castling. White plays gum. So that is the 7th file and the 3rd rank. 7th file, 3rd rank. This is the G3 square. And it's a 1-syllable picture word. We've got our 2 options. And the knight is the first from the back, breaking ties on the queen side. So knight c3. Black plays jujube, which is 6 and 6, the 2 j sounds. So we're looking at the f6 square. Previously, we had that with shisha, the 2-syllable picture word. Now we've got it with jujube, the 3-syllable picture word. And we'll look at our 3 options. The 3rd in order is the pawn on f6. So black's move is pawn to f6. Okay, moving on to the 2nd half of the game. White's next move is Roman. So this is followed by So 4th file followed by 3rd rank, 2 syllables. Our 2 options are the queen and the bishop. 2-syllable picture word, so we have bishop d3. Black plays robber. B is ignored, of course, so our 2 consonant sounds are and which is d4. And it's a 2-syllable picture word where our 2 options are the knight and the pawn. The knight is further back, the pawn is further forward, so the pawn is the 2nd candidate piece. Pawn takes d4. White replies raw. This is also d4, now with 1 syllable. So given the 2 options are the pawn on c3 and the knight on f3, the 1st candidate piece is, of course, the pawn on c3. So that's the piece that makes the move. You'll notice there is no special notation for a capture. We only ever describe a move using the target square and the candidate piece. There's no special capture notation or check or checkmate or anything like that. We're keeping it as simple as possible. It's target square and piece. Now the next 5 moves are quite fun and a good practice choosing the correct candidate piece. We have lollipop, lollipop, lol, lily, lol. All of them are E5 because they start off with the 2 sounds ul and ul. They just have different numbers of syllables. So we're going to have a series of captures on E5. Lollipop, 3 syllables, is going to kick off this sequence, and it's a move by black. So let's see what can move to E5 from black's point of view. We have 2 knights and a pawn. And then in order, what's the third candidate piece we come across? It's the pawn. White replies lollipop. So what can move there from White's point of view? The knight and the pawn on f4. The third of those in order, because it's a 3-syllable picture word, is the pawn on f4. So White replies lollipop. Now Black says lol. This is the e5 square again. Got 2 candidate pieces, and now it's the first one we come across because it's a 1-syllable picture word. So knight on d7 takes e5. White replies lily. e5 again, but with a 2-syllable picture word. So it must be the second candidate piece, which is now the pawn on d4, because that one was further forward. Remember, start from the back, break ties from the queen side. The second candidate piece we come across was the pawn on d4. Finally, Black replies lol. Now it's easy because only one piece can move to e5 anyway, so it must be knight takes e5. Okay. White plays plain. P is ignored. We have ul, which is the e file, the 5th file, and we have n, which is the 2nd rank. So 5th file, 2nd rank, 1-syllable picture word. So even though 4 pieces can move to e2, actually it's just the first one you come across. So this is queen to e2. Black plays crab. So that's the g file and the 4th rank. Must be knight to g4 because nothing else can move there. White is going to play foam. So is the h file, number 8. Is number 3. So we have h3, must be pawn to h3. To which Black responded brush. B is ignored. So our 2 relevant consonant sounds are and ch, which gives us the 4th file and the 6th rank. And it's a 1-syllable picture word, so this is going to be the first candidate piece, bishop to d6. Now we have 2 moves to fox, so at least the second of these must be a capture. So fox is the 8th file, x is a k sound, so it's k, and that is the 7th rank. So we are looking at a capture on h7. So this must be bishop takes, and Black's capture must be king takes. Fox, fox. Now we have crab again. So 7th file, 4th rank. So that's a capture of the knight on g4. Again, you'll notice this is check, but in picture notation, we don't need to write that down because that doesn't help define the move. That's just extra information. So this is just written as crab. Black responds gift. So we have g and f. So g is the 7th file, f is the 8th rank. So this is a move to g8. And you'll notice that there is only one candidate piece, because even though it looks like the rook can move to g8, of course it can't because Black is in check. So this move must be king to g8. The king is the only piece that can legally move to g8, even though it might be in the line of sight of other pieces. Now we have a 4-syllable picture word. If I can pronounce this correctly, Chateaubriand, a type of steak. The 2 consonant sounds are ch or ch and t. So this is 6 and 1, 6 and 1. So we're looking at the f1 square with the 4th piece that can move there. What are our options? The king can go to f1, the rook can go to f1, the queen can go to f1, and the knight can go to f1. And they are in that order in terms of syllables. And as we have a 4-syllable picture word, we choose the 4th piece, which is the knight. So knight f1. Now we have an interesting one, gnome. The G is silent. Apologies to non-native English speakers. And we go by pronunciation. So gnome is n, which is the second file and the third rank. So we're looking at the B3 square. We go by pronunciation because that is much easier to do in your head at the chessboard. You don't want to be counting letters in a word or anything that requires spelling. So this is all done by sounds. And that is why gnome gives us the B3 square. Only one piece can move there, which is the queen, queen to B3. Almost done now, only a couple of moves left. White played foam, so we should be familiar by now. And this is giving us the H3 square. Black responds lily, so repeated, gives us the E5 square with the second candidate piece. So that is the pawn, pawn to E5. White responds lily, so this is a capture on E5 with the second candidate piece. And here are the candidate pieces. The knight is further forward, so it must be the second candidate piece you come across. Knight captures E5. Black responds tree. So is the first file, is the fourth rank. So first file, fourth rank, that's the A4 square. Only the queen can move there. And white finished off with gnome. So again, that's B3, and it's a one-syllable picture word. So the first candidate piece is the pawn on B2. So white played B3, and that was the end of the game. I'm not going to offer any analysis. That's not the purpose of my channel. There are far, far better chess players who can do that. The purpose of this channel is to explain how do you apply memory palaces and memory techniques to chess. As you can see, converting from picture words into chess moves is very simple once you know what you're doing. The next step is to write out your opening repertoire in a branching structure with picture words. Then you can memorize them with memory techniques. And then when you're at the board, all these pictures will be in your head in palaces, and you can just play your repertoire perfectly from memory. Right, please subscribe for future tutorials and other videos, and I hope to see you in the next video.